welcome to No Skips. This is the show where we talk about those albums that you press play and you don't do anything else. You just listen to the whole album. You don't skip any songs on. Today we are talking about my favorite band, Fall Out Boy. At least one more time I got to talk about these fellas. And I am talking about them with their new album that came out in the year 2023. Came out, in fact, March of 2023. This album called So Much for Stardust. And let me tell you, this album is 44 minutes long, and it had 3 singles as of right now. And actually, I'm going to say 4 singles. I'm going to kind of be biased here and say 4 singles because of a cover song they did, which we'll get to in a moment. But the 3 original singles off this album, Love from the Other Side, Heartbreak Feels So Good, and Hold Me Like a Grudge. Now, that was the 3rd single. Now, that 4th single I was kind of alluding to. After they put the album out, they did a original cover, which sounds redundant and weird for me to say it like that, but it is a original cover of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. They did their own version of the song, basically where Billy Joel's version of We Didn't Start the Fire ends, and then Fall Out Boy picks it up with the historical events that have happened since in their version. Really good song, okay? Really good song, but it is not on the original version of this album if you go by the original version, okay? But that is technically the 4th single, and right now that song's getting played a ton, at least in the radio stations that I work for. So that's why I mentioned it, to you. But as far as this album is concerned, this album was written a lot during the COVID pandemic, and you can feel that when you are listening to this album. And the band has said that this album, if they never went on hiatus, which we talked about a few episodes ago, if they never went on hiatus and they did an album after Folie à Deux, it would have been this album, So Much for Stardust. And when they say that, I don't mean that they've had these songs laying around since 2008. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, and I believe what they are saying, is sound-wise, this would have been the next step in their evolution. But as you know, after Folie à Deux, they took a 5-year break, came back with Save Rock and Roll. Then they did American Beauty, American Psycho. They had Mania, and I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything in that realm. But after Mania came out, which that album came out in 2018, that album was not well received. That was like an experimental album for Fall Out Boy. They did a lot of different stuff in it. I'll be honest with you, I enjoy that album. A lot of other people don't. I enjoy that album, but I love this album because to me, this album, So Much for Stardust, is like their entire catalog perfectly put into one. It's like a greatest hits album, but when I say that, I don't mean the actual, greatest hits of the band, but it's like, it's the greatest sound. It's the greatest collective sound they've put together as a band. It's like they finally got there. It's like to use a sporting reference, you love a team and they keep losing in the playoffs, right? They keep losing in the playoffs. And this is that championship team, right? That's how I feel about this album. This is that championship moment for the boys from Chicago, okay? And this album has got no skips on it. Now, there are 2 songs on this album that I don't consider songs, and I mean this as no disrespect, okay? But they are spoken word tracks, all right? They are spoken word tracks. One of them is the Pink Seashell, and the other one is, and I want to make sure I get the name right on this one, Baby Annihilation. Both of those are spoken word tracks, so I don't consider them songs. And I don't consider them songs because I'm not buying a ticket to go watch them play the Pink Seashell. I'm not waiting for that to come up, okay? With that being said, when you experience that in the context of a concert, it makes sense, okay? It makes sense why it's there because it helps tell the story that they're trying to tell in this album, because every song on this album is like that. Every song on this album has a reason to be there. It's not just a collection of songs. The songs kind of tell a story if you're really paying attention. Okay. So in the context of, is it a song? I do not consider those two spoken word tracks to be songs, which is why I can still have this album on no skips, because I don't skip any of the songs. You follow me? I know it's a long explanation, but that is, with me trying to be honest with you and trying to be legit with you, that is how I come to that conclusion, that this is a no skips album. Now, I told you about the singles. Okay. I told you about the singles. Again, those singles are Love from the Other Side, Heartbreak Feels So Good, and Hold Me Like a Grudge. Here are the other songs. And again, I love all of them, but here are the other ones that are like standout songs to me. Heaven, Heaven, Iowa. My goodness. Now, this is a song that almost didn't make the record. And sometimes those are the best songs, the ones that are like teetering on the line of not making it, and they do, and they turn out to be huge. To me, this is that song. Now, full context, it's not one that's played a ton on the radio right now, but to me, it is one of the best songs they've ever done, one of my favorites. And the reason why it's one of my favorites is because it sounds a lot to me like a Phil Collins song. And I like Phil Collins. It sounds a little bit, and I'm not saying it's like the same deal, but the build up, the build up and the anticipation in the song kind of feels like I Can Feel It Coming, in the air tonight. That it's kind of like that, because there's not a whole lot of guitars to it until it hits the chorus. A lot of it is drums, piano. It's a little slow, and then all of a sudden, right when you're kind of waiting for that moment, it arrives. And I love this song, and I love the lyrics in the song too, man. Like lyrically, they were on a whole nother level when they did this one, because it felt like early Fall Out Boy, but it was not just let's just remake one for the fans. Like, it didn't feel that way. It felt like they were still, chewing up new material, whilst, being able to also have some of those feel good sounds that we're used to, us elder Fall Out Boy fans, if you will, which I never thought I'd be calling myself elder at like 30, but anyway. But that one, Heaven, Iowa, that's a good one. Another good one, the title track, So Much for Stardust. It's the last song on the album, but man, is it a good one. It is a really, really good one. And I think a lot of us can relate to the feeling in that song, because the feeling that I get from that song is, we all had dreams and aspirations, right? And those who gave up on their dreams and aspirations, they're kind of like, well, so much for Stardust. We thought we had it all figured out. We thought we were going to be big, and it didn't happen. But for us dreamers who are still at it, hey, we still have a chance. We still have a chance. That's right. And then there's a couple other ones here. Flu Game is a good one. Fake Out. That's a really, really good song as well. I thought they were going to release that as a single. They didn't end up doing that, surprisingly, but Fake Out is a really good song as well. It's got a lot of heart to it. And then I talked about Patrick Stump's solo effort, Soul Punk, a while ago. And there's a song on this album that kind of sounds a little bit like the soul punk feeling. And I love it. I love it. I love it. The song is called What a Time to Be Alive. It is track number 12. And it's funny because What a Time to Be Alive would make you believe that it's like, oh, this is a happy song. You know what I mean? This is a happy song about, how great is it to, be alive in the time and era that we are. But if you look at the lyrics, it's like the exact opposite. It's like, oh, we're going to, live stream the end of the world type deal. But I love that in Fall Out Boy's lyrics. A lot of their songs are like that, where they make you feel, chipper about a really crappy situation, if you get what I'm saying. But What a Time to Be Alive is a great, great tune. And then there's another song on here that is, I'm going to simplify it. It's got a different title, but in parentheses, it says 10 years. And the actual title of it, I can't pronounce, okay, without looking like an idiot. So I'm just going to call it 10 years, but you know what song I'm talking about if you listen to the album, and especially if you're a Fall Out Boy fan. That's another great song as well. Again, they're all great. I know I always sound redundant when I say that, but they're all great. They're all great. And what's really cool about this album is that they actually, and part of the reason why it sounds like Folie à Deux, is because they actually went and they got the producer that they had for Folie à Deux, and they brought him back for this one. His name, by the way, is Neil Avron, and he deserves a lot of credit for how great this album sounds, because again, for us elder Fall Out Boy fans, you're going to hear this album and you're going to go, whoa, like I really enjoy it. It brings me back. And a big reason for that is Neil. I don't know him personally, but Neil, great job. Great job. But again, this was also them kind of going back to their old record label too, Fueled by Ramen. Yeah, they went back to their old record label for this one as well. There's a whole story behind that. But again, I love this album. I did see some Fall Out Boy fans complaining about the use of strings and how some of the songs feel cinematic, which to me, because I make movies, I love when songs sound cinematic. So I'm kind of biased there. But one thing that people should remember in this evolution of Fall Out Boy sound is that Patrick Stump, who is the one that does the music for the band, you know, Pete does the lyrics, Patrick does the music, and then Joe and Andy come in and they, you know, they kind of fill in where necessary and they really contribute some awesome stuff. But Patrick, in his off time, it's not really off time, he's still working, he composes for movies. So the fact that he would have songs that feel like he's composing for a movie, to me, why would you not expect that? That's just me. Like, that's what he does. So why would you not expect that? But anyway, so much for Stardust. To me, it is a no skips album. As far as the runtime is concerned, 44 minutes long once again. Again, I don't skip any songs on this. I do skip the 2 spoken word tracks. But if you see their concert, like I said, those spoken word tracks, they're not very long and it makes sense. You know, it makes sense why they're there because it helps tell the story. So when you first listen to this, don't skip those, okay? But then if you choose to, again, you're not skipping the songs, you're just skipping the spoken word stuff. But anyway, to me, it's a no skips album when it comes to the songs. And that's the technicality I'm going to put on it. And I really think you'll enjoy this, especially if you're a Fall Out Boy fan. You probably already listened to it and wore the CD out like I have. But if you are not a Fall Out Boy fan and you check this one out, you will really enjoy it, I believe. And make sure you leave in the comments below if you do skip any of the actual songs, not the spoken word thing, but if you actually skip the actual songs, let me know. Okay, because I'm kind of curious to see what people think about this one because it is a new album. All right, so let me know what you think about it. And my friends, that's all I got for you. So until next time, be good to yourself, be good to others in that order. I'll see you soon.